Good morning, dear students. I hope you all would be fine. We are studying the chapter number 12, that is Thar Desert. Till now you have studied the different features of our nation India, that is your Great Himalaya, then you are having Northern Plain, Deccan Plateau, Coastal Plain, and the last topic in this content is your Thar Desert. So let me talk about the desert. Desert is a hot and dry area which is covered with the sand. The Thar desert here is also called as Great Indian Desert. What it is called? The other name for Thar desert is Great Indian Desert. So now we are talking about the location of Thar desert. So where your Thar desert is located. So when we are talking about the location, it lies between the Aravalli hills in the states of Rajasthan and Gujarat. And let me tell you, the maximum part of the Thar desert is in the state of Rajasthan. Then it is also covering some area or part of Pakistan and Punjab. So students, this was the location of the Thar desert. Now please watch the video related to the location and see the topic from the book also.
The Thar Desert lies in the northwest region of India. It is spread mostly over Rajasthan and some parts of Haryana, Punjab, and Gujarat. Click a label to learn more about the Thar Desert.
Friends, I hope you might have understood the location of the Thar desert. Now we are going to see the physical features of the Thar desert. So what are the physical features of the Thar desert? Students, whenever you are seeing the video, after seeing the video, please refer your books also so that you can understand the topic better. So when we are talking about the Thar desert, the physical features, it is given: the desert possesses undulating surface with big and small sand dunes. That means undulating surface, the surface is not so plain, there are small deposition of sands also, which is called as the sand dunes, and these are separated by the low productive hills, which is called as the bhakars in the native language. That means the regional language, when we are calling it as BHAKARS, it is the bhakars. And what are these? These are the low unproductive hills. Unproductive hills, that means nothing can be produced from this type of region. So these were the bhakars, which was the first physical feature. Then we are learning the next topic, which is sand dunes. Sand dunes, as I told, this is the small deposition of sand forming the hills. So let me read out for you. Sand dunes are hills of loose sand. What it is? It is the hills of loose sand. Okay. And how it is built? It is built by the activity of wind. You might have seen when the wind blows. What happens when there is a wind blowing? Sometime it happen, it brings the things with it and the material get deposited. In the same way, when in the desert area the wind blows, what happen? The wind is carrying sand with it, and this loose sand form the hill, which is called as the sand dune. What they are called? They are called as the sand dunes, and their shape and size. Okay. What is changing? That is their shape and size. Their shape and size is keep on changing. So why the shape and size of sand dunes are changing? The reason is this is the hill which is formed by the loose sand. So loose sand means which is not getting fixed at a place. So as soon as wind blows, that sand is being transferred with the help of wind from one place to another forming new sand dunes. So here the shape and size of the sand dunes is changing. Some older ones are stable. That means the sand dunes which are not disturbed for the longer period, they are stable. That means they are at their position only and may reach up to the height of 500 feet. The stable ones, which means the sand dunes which have been not disturbed for a long period, what will happen? They will reach to the height of 500 feet. Hot and dry winds during the daytime keep the sand dune changing their position. So your hot and dry wind is the reason due to which your sand dunes are changing their shape and size. Let us come to the sand dunes one again. In short, this is the hills of loose sand. Okay. Then how it is built? It is built by the activity of wind. Let me write it here. It is built by the activity of wind. Whenever the wind blows, the wind carries the sand with it and that sand gets deposited to the other place. Now, due to this activity of wind, the shape and size of sand dune is changing. It is not fixed. But we are talking about some stable sand dunes which are not being disturbed. So those sand dunes can achieve the height of 500 feet. So students, I hope sand dunes might be clear to you. Now we are on the next topic, next physical feature of the Thar desert. So the next physical feature of the Thar desert is your oasis. What it is? It is oasis. So what is this oasis? Let me read out the paragraph for you. Not the entire stretched desert is arid and dry. That means the complete desert area is not hot and dry. Arid means it is dry. At some places oases are formed. So now what are these oases? These are small lake-like feature. Small lake-like features. So when we are talking about the desert would not be completely dry. There would be some deposition of water somewhere. So these small lake-like features are called as the oasis. What they are called? They are called as the oasis, which come to the surface due to presence of underground spring. That means underground water. Okay. So how they come in presence? They come in presence due to underground springs. They come in presence due to the presence of underground spring. Now here the size of oasis can vary. So what it is? Size may vary. Then we are told it may vary from about 2.5 acres to much larger area in the desert. Then many settlements thrive around this area because of the availability of fresh water for consumption and irrigation. Now here the fresh water is available for consumption. That means the use of the living beings and for irrigation also. So what is irrigation? Watering the crop is called as the irrigation. So from this oasis the people use the water for their consumption also, and also they use the water for the irrigation. Now plants and trees can be seen around this area. Obviously when we are talking about the desert, that there is no water or less water in the desert, so most of the plant would be formed near this oasis part. Okay, so here we can write plants and trees are found nearby it. So let us come recall the oasis once more. Oasis, what it is? It is the small lake-like feature which is in the presence due to the underground spring. Now the size of this oasis may vary. It may be small to the area available in the desert area. It may extend. And here this water, this is the fresh water, so it is available for the consumption and the irrigation purpose also. And here most of the plants and trees are found near this oasis. So students, this was the next another physical feature of the Thar desert. Now we are talking about the water. Now when we are talking about the water, so as I told, this area is hot and dry. So water is scarce in the desert, that is less water is there in the desert. Seasonal rainwater is the collective reservoir or tank for the domestic purpose use. So what is the seasonal rainwater? That means whenever there is a rain in the desert area, there is a facility to collect this rainwater, and when they are collecting this rainwater either in the tanks or in the reservoir, digging small places, so that whenever rain falls, that rainwater can be collected. So people use this rainwater for their domestic purpose, that means household purpose. Apart from well and tanks, canals are the main source of water. That means other the wells and the tank present in the area, your canals are the main source of water. Now I hope you might be aware of the word canal. Canal is the water source which divert the water, the large amount of water, to the other places. So here when we are talking, the water is less here, that means less water. Then how do people depend on this for water? They are collecting rainwater. They are collecting it in the tanks or reservoir. Now this water is used for domestic purpose. This is used for the domestic purpose. This rainwater is used for the domestic purpose, and other than this, when we are talking about the source of water, so what is this? Apart from you are having sources, it is well, tanks and canal. So this is the another physical feature of that Thar desert, that here the water availability is less. So how the people collect water for the domestic purposes? They are mostly collecting the seasonal rainwater, and other from the well and tank, the source of water is canal. Now Indira Gandhi Canal in the northern part of the desert irrigates vast portion of the Thar desert. So your Indira Gandhi Canal is one of the main source of water in the Thar desert. The vast portion is irrigated, that means the crop is getting water through your Indira Gandhi Canal. This canal has brought about the prosperity and fertility in the barren lands of Rajasthan. What is the prosperity? That means development, and fertility means that fertility is the ability of the soil to grow crops. Good ability of the soil to grow crops is called as the fertility. So this all is dependent on the canals. The main canal is Indira Gandhi Canal, which irrigates vast portion of the Thar desert. Now when we are talking about the desert, the first word which might be striking to your mind is camel. We all know camel? Yes. So camel is also called as the ship of desert. So why it is called the ship of desert? Let me tell you, camel is the animal which can walk easily on the sand. Okay. So here the main transportation, okay, is done with the help of the camel. The camel is used for the transportation in the Thar desert because it's very difficult for the vehicle to move. Even when you are walking in the desert, it is quite difficult, okay. And when you are trying to drive something in the desert or sand, is it easy? No, it is difficult to drive anything on the sand. So here camel is used for the transportation. Camel is used for the transportation. Now here the camel has been gifted by the unique feature by nature because of which it has earned the title ship of the desert. It can walk on the hot and dry sand with the broad padded feet. Okay, now let me explain you little more about the camel. Why camel is called as the ship of desert? When you have seen the legs of camel, okay, the camel is having hoofs. Okay, so what happens, suppose if you are walking on the sand, your feet gets inserted or gets stuck into the sand, and you need effort to take out your leg. But when we are talking about the camel, the camel is having the hoof. Okay, so just imagine a stick. Okay, when you are walking with the help of stick, why it become easy? Because it just straight goes inside the sand and it is easy to take that out. So camel is having one feature is that it is having the hoofs. Okay, so it can walk easily. The second is your eyelashes. That means the camel has the big eyelashes which protect the eye of the camel from the sand. So see, when we are talking about the wind blowing in the desert, it is always dry. Okay, and that dry wind always carries sand with it. So it is very difficult for us or anyone in the windy area to walk. But it is easy for the camel because it is having the big eyelashes. Students, I am just recalling the physical features of the Thar desert once again. We have learned about the bhakras, then we have learned about the oasis, sand dunes, then we have learned about the water scarcity, and we have also learned about the ship of desert.